the first time that I jumped off a train, I jumped off at the wrong station, and I basically was kind of lost. I was alone, never been here before. So I go and I try to ask someone, hey, hello, sorry, can I ask, do you know where this place that I'm trying to go is? And this person just looks at me and says, basically, they don't speak English.
If homesickness gets really bad, you just, call your mom and you chat for an hour and you're like, I miss you, mom.
Personally, for me, it was extremely difficult to make friends in China because of, differences and just a whole lot of things, differences in lifestyles and whatnot. So it was really, really, really hard for me to make friends in China.
For me, I think the main challenges are like learning how to deal with bureaucracy or like how to do the adult things in another country.
And I believe those policemen are part of tourism, some strategy. Because I saw the policemen crossing the street again, tall and like, I was like, oh, this policeman, and that's my place. So like every 30 minutes, man, crossing the street to attract our tourists. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the Living Abroad series, a series where we will be sharing our experiences on what's like living abroad, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So please don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Let us kickstart this episode by first talking about the thought of moving abroad. Our life, it's exciting. Thinking about greener pastures, new adventures, new experiences. Oh my goodness, it is so thrilling. It is so exciting. But at the same time, it's also nerve-wracking because you don't know what to expect. And in addition to that, living abroad also comes with a set of new challenges, some of which can push you to the edge, others can be eye-opening and make you realize certain things about yourself, your home country, your people, and so forth. So essentially, living abroad is quite an experience, a lifetime experience that can transform your life depending on how you look at it. So I'm really excited for this series because we'll be learning about Alice, everything, yonke into, you know what I mean? So a couple of weeks ago, I uploaded a story on my Instagram basically asking people to submit questions related to living abroad. So any question that you have that has to do with living abroad, ask me. That's basically what I did. And I received questions from people and some of them were similar. So I tried grouping them into categories, so as to avoid being redundant. And initially the thought was to do a Q&A session, read out your question and answer based on my experiences. But then later on I was like, I have some friends who are living abroad and it might actually be cool to ask them to also contribute, to share their experiences, because we all have different experiences. All our experiences are unique, and I think that's one of the best things about this series, the fact that you guys will be hearing from different people who have different experiences, who have unique stories to tell, and I really hope that it will shed some light and also give you a better understanding or perspective on what's really like living abroad or being away from home. So I hope you guys enjoy this series, and without further ado, let's get right into it.
Hello everyone, my name is Nomthi Khanyile. People just call me Nomthi, and today I'll be talking a little bit more about my experiences being a South African living in Germany for a little over 3 years now. And before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much to Uma Musa for giving me the platform and opportunity to be able to share my experiences with you here today. And she's given me a list of questions that I will answer as I go so that I am able to talk about these experiences in an orderly fashion, I guess. So, to get into it, I am originally from Inanda, and this is a small township that is north of Durban. So I'm born and bred in KZN. This is where I spent the greater part of my life before moving over to the Free State, where I did my undergrad and honors degrees. Right after that, I moved over to Wits University, where I did my master's degree. And I'm currently a PhD candidate / research associate at the Max Planck Institute for Chemical Ecology in Jena. So Jena is a small town that is in East Germany, but I haven't always been here. So the first 2 years of being in Germany, I was actually in Mainz, and this is a city that is on West Germany, on the western side of Germany. And so I think this has actually been a really great experience that I've gotten to sort of really live in two separate parts of the country and experience the culture, the people, the way of life. It's really been an incredible experience. And while it has some of its challenges, it has really been eye-opening. I feel it has broadened my horizons, opened my eyes to so many things that I did not know before. And just generally, I think Germany is a really, really great place to be. So it's really been an amazing experience.
Hi everyone, my name is Mathapelo Opoku and I am a teacher in China. I've been teaching in China for 3 years now. I started teaching with ESL, English, and then I moved to teaching science. So far, my experience has been quite interesting and unique. I've learned a lot. I've had to learn a whole new culture. I had to learn a whole new system of teaching. And I've really quite had a good experience up to so far.
I'm Michael Edwards. I'm from South Africa. I grew up in Johannesburg. I've been here in Potsdam for 11 months now at the University of Potsdam. Overall, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, some parts more than others, and I think we'll get into that.
Hi guys, I'm Snoxolo. I am in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I'm doing my PhD at VU Amsterdam. It's been a year now, year and 12 days. Arrived here 4th of October last year. I will never forget. It was nice though. I saw 3 hot policemen next to the airport. And I believe those policemen are part of tourism, some strategy. Because I saw the 3 policemen crossing the street again, tall and I was like, ooh, this policeman, I got to buy a place or like every 30 minutes, man, crossing the street to attract some tourists. And it's been great. It's been nice. I feel like I've experienced the seasons. I don't know. There's something about experiencing the change of seasons that makes it feel not like home, but when it was dry and it's raining. Because when I got here last day, it was raining all the time. And then it got sunny. And then it rained again. And I got to smell that when it was dry and it starts to rain. And I only associate that smell with home because here already last day, so I didn't smell that. And I smelled that and I was just like, oh, I feel like I'm part of, becoming Dutch. Also now I can side with, so it doesn't get any Dutch than that.
Hello, my name is Mauricio Ferreira. I'm from Brazil, specifically from Vitória in the state of Espírito Santo. And I've been here in Germany for 1 year now, yes. And for me, it has been incredible, a very transformative experience. And yes, I'm enjoying it very much.
In Germany, the Germans speak German. And you do not understand the full extent of it until you actually come to Germany. The first time that I jumped off a train, I jumped off at the wrong station, and I basically was kind of lost. I was alone, never been here before. So I go and I try to ask someone, hey, hello, sorry, can I ask, do you know where this place that I'm trying to go is? And this person just looks at me and says, basically, they don't speak English. And I was like, yo. And it was, And then I was like, okay, maybe I should go for some younger people, maybe like the younger generation, they speak English. I tried to go to a couple of people that were just standing and they looked younger, and they also struggled to explain to me where I wanted to go. So this just shows you the extent. Like it's possible that you meet a person on the streets and they cannot communicate with you, and this is also a barrier to social integration. So trying to sort of establish a social life, it can be a little bit challenging because of this. But the best way, of course, to overcome this is to learn the language. And I truly do believe that if you are in the land of people who speak a language, you should learn to speak the language. So I have been taking German classes, and it's definitely not an easy language, but it helps to make an effort to learn. And when people actually see that you're trying, by all means, to try to communicate, basically.
For me, I think the main challenges are like learning how to deal with bureaucracy, or like how to do the adult things in another country. Because you grew up in your own country and you like naturally learn these things or from your parents or so on. But when you go abroad, you have to figure out everything for yourself. And also, if you don't really know the language, that also can be a little bit more difficult. And yeah, I think for me that was the main challenge.
First of all, knowing the world can ever be like home. South Africa is South Africa, but at the same time, you just learn to dance in the rain. How do I deal with that? I was fortunate enough to have a partner in China, so most of my time I spent with him, and it wasn't that lonely for me. But generally, before him, it was just really, really hard, because you miss those Saturdays where you go to groove, you miss those brides that you would have, you miss connecting with the people you connected with, back home. Generally, it is really, really hard. You would really need to reset your mindset into the I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to make friends, and I'm just ready to evolve type of thing.
So with regards to like adapting to being somewhere new, it depends on where you're going. With Germany, because I arrived in the middle of winter, the most difficult thing was getting used to the difference in climate, especially like how short the days are. And Berlin especially, it's like very gray. So it's not that it's cold, it's like there's just a lack of sunshine. And you don't realize how used you are to having a lot of sunshine until there isn't, and you feel a bit like meh. Then also, there's nice new foods to try, but like the first thing you notice in Germany is that there, like certain things you're used to being able to find, you can't, and like their spicy sauces aren't very spicy. So like if you're used to like a bit of spice or heat in your food, like the average German supermarket doesn't have hot sauce that's real hot sauce. Other than that, not a big issue. You work around those things. Winter becomes summer, everything goes on.
I do get homesick a lot. I miss the food. I miss more my family, my friends, the sense of community, that I had in South Africa. And I think it's been a little bit hard for me to try to establish this here. Mainly because even outside of the language, just the way of interaction is very different here than it would be in South Africa. So I think that would be the most challenging thing. I would say, first of all, the language barrier. Second of all, that they're just socially different people. So the kind of interactions that you can have are very different from the ones that you'll be able to have back at home. Missing your family and feeling that sense of isolation. It's definitely a very, very challenging thing.
Sometimes it's like you do feel homesick. For me, not so much. Like I do feel a bit, but like I kind of like when I move abroad, I think, oh, I'm gonna like embrace the new things, the new culture, the things you find in the supermarket. But overall, the thing I miss most about home is my family and my girlfriends and the friends. But overall, like I feel like I've adapted quite nicely.
Go home, go to YouTube and Instagram and look. Sometimes I look at pictures that's on Instagram of food, people, and sometimes I try to go to Twitter, but then Twitter is depressing because they're always talking about problems. And like, I mean, I would like to be kept updated, but that's where you realize how depressing, like, just being kept up with South African news is, because it's rarely ever something good. It's always like issues. So yeah. But like when I'm sick, I usually just like maybe call home and go to YouTube when I want to hear like South African languages and listen to YouTube, like people speaking the language, because that's what I missed last year. Like I did not miss like home. I just missed to being around a place where I could hear like abantu bekhuluma, like understand parts of the language, and just a familiar place. Because like being far away from home, I'm used to. Because like even when I was in South Africa, I was always like away from home, university, and all of that. But I just wanted like ukuzwa nje, like the language and understand it, and so yeah, that's what I did and dealt with being homesick.
And then with regards to homesickness, I find that what helps a lot is like you stay in contact with people at home. You also, because of how recent COVID was, you got used to doing things online with people, and that helps with going overseas now, because you can still do those same online things. You can play video games, you can voice chat, all that stuff. It's normal now. In a professional setting, a lot of stuff still happens online through the university, so you're still seeing your colleagues and whatnot back home. So I think that helps. If homesickness gets really bad, you just call your mom and you chat for an hour and you're like, I miss you, mom. So I found, because I was joining a research group at the University of Potsdam, which already had a lot of members who were also exchange students, that made it easy to make friends and to do things. If you find yourself in a situation with a whole lot of people who are very much in the same situation, and you all end up wanting to do the same touristy stuff, it helps a lot. We did end up also being at the university. You make friends with all the Germans who are also coming into the university every day. You meet other people at the university. Outside of the university, I think if I'd come here maybe to work, I imagine in that situation I would also mostly make my friends do work. I don't know what else. The one thing I do know about Germans, they are very big into clubs. Everyone will be part of some kind of social hobby club. So I imagine that's another way to make friends outside of work or education. You just have to join a club of people who like the same thing. So I think in that way, Germans are very honest people. They don't show their emotions too much, especially in winter and that. They're like, oh, but they're like, they're not overly complicated. It's just like you meet, you have similar interests, you drink beer together, they'll be your friend.
So here in Germany, I didn't think it was too difficult making new friends, because especially you'll be around a lot of international people who are kind of in the same situation as you. So you tend to get along with each other and do things together. Then you just become friends naturally. And also being friends with Germans in general is also not really that difficult. I mean, you have to adapt certain things. Like if you know the language, like I mentioned, it makes it much more easy. Also, you have to be aware of the cultural differences and all of this stuff. And otherwise, like, I don't think there is too much of a problem. Of course, they have compared like to the Brazilian culture, like Germans are a bit more reserved and like distant and requires a few more steps in order to get to know them better. But otherwise, I didn't have any trouble either with all the international people or with Germans. I think like in the university, because you're there every day and you also have gonna meet a lot of colleagues, I think it's easy in that kind of environment to make more friends. Also, if you happen to live in a shared flat, you're gonna be friends with your flatmates. And overall, I think that's this kind of environment where you have to see each other every day. It helps a lot. But otherwise, like in an outside environment or where you don't know them, like they're just an unknown person, I think that situation is a bit tougher.
With me, it was made easy by the fact that my department is pretty like international. So there are other people who also are far away from their homes. So it's easy to like it's hlangane and have like dinners, invite each other at others' places and go out together. Lokwenza ukuthi kube easy. Outside of work, I have not made any friends. Have I? I think. No, I know I've met other people like from campus who are not necessarily at my department, like from maybe newcomers who and there's a young food thing, like for young staff members, which I'm part of. So there are people that like, like sengiyakwazi ukuthi ngihambe ecampusini ngibone umuntu engimaziyo, like, oh hi, I haven't seen you in a while, even though they are not in my department. So there's that, like, but outside I have not met like any friends. All the people that I can consider friends are people that work in the department or in the same institute as me. So all my friends are like work related, no one outside of work. Part of it is language, because like when I went to the gym, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make friends at the gym, and I did not, because they were speaking Dutch. Some were speaking English, but I just also realized that I was not that invested in making friends at the gym. But yeah, language can also be a thing, because like you can't, like if people are already like in the they're speaking Dutch, they're in a group, I'm not interested in like speaking and like talking English to them and have them having to like switch from Dutch to English. So there's that. But also people are generally individualistic. Yeah, it's like you live your life. You speak to people that you already do know. It's very unlikely that people like just approach you and talk to you mabengakwazi, and so
I will cite here that, of course, the language barrier plays a huge role in whether you're able to make friends or not, because maybe it's easier to just meet someone somewhere at a restaurant and you just have a chat with them, or you're sitting next to someone on the bus or the tram or the train, and you can make somewhat of a... I would say that it is possible to make a friendship in this manner in South Africa. And that's how friendships and relations start. They start with conversation, right? And if you're not able to establish this in the first go, then of course it presents a barrier. But it's definitely also not easy. So, because I don't think that the Germans like superficial relationships, right? It's harder to make a connection with them, but once you do, it is an absolutely solid, real connection. It's not a superficial relation. So I really, really enjoy this, because they are the kind of people where you really do get what they give. You know, you don't have to second guess your position in someone's life, or if they consider you a friend, because you really will have the sense that you are their friend when you do become friends, and when that bond and that connection is established. They tend to be very real people in this manner, and this is something that I truly enjoy about German people. You know, they are very direct. You can choose to look at this in whichever way. It can be negative if you choose to look at it that way, or it can be positive. I like to look at it in a more positive way of, I get honesty, I get what it is, and that's basically how you get to live your life. And so it's definitely, I wouldn't say easy, not easy to make friends. It's definitely not easy to make friends, but once you do make a real bond and connection with someone, it is truly something to cherish.
I am naturally just a person who, I'm very awkward. I don't make friends easily, because for me friendship is a very sacred thing. So it comes really hard for me to get to a point where I'm like, oh, Sasa is my friend. It is a very long process for me. So personally, for me, it was extremely difficult to make friends in China because of, differences and just a whole lot of things, differences in lifestyles and whatnot. So it was really, really, really hard for me to make friends in China. I mean, I have only one Chinese friend and one other friend that I've made, but besides them, in 3 years, I literally haven't made any other friends. That's just how hard it's been for me. So personally, I don't know how other people had like different experiences, but for me, it was extremely hard making friends, extremely hard.
So where I'm staying in Potsdam, there's a bit less English spoken in general than there is in Berlin, but still more than enough that you can get by. In day-to-day life, you learn a few German phrases that tend to be enough. Alles gut, Dankeschön, bitteschön. If you go in grocery shopping, it really is just hello, payment card, and then you just kind of shake your head if they ask any follow-up questions. When it comes to official, like admin stuff, anything, if you have to like be in contact with the town hall or anything like that, you get a lot of documents and things sent to you in the post in German. So it's useful to have friends who can speak German, or you're just going to rely a lot on Google Translate. But overall, most people that you're going to meet, especially if you're in Berlin, or if you're at a university like the University of Potsdam where there are a lot of international students, people will be able to speak English, and so you'll get along quite well with people. And I found that in a weird way, a lot of the Germans I spent time with, instead of them teaching me German, they were kind of using me to be like, oh, how do you pronounce this word in English? Which was not what I expected.
With regards to language, I think in Germany in general, especially in larger cities like Berlin, you can get by relatively easily with English. Also, you're going to be meeting a lot of international people who are also going to speak English. I think most Germans are like willing to also speak English to you. Of course, sometimes you happen to find some people who are not so nice and demand you to speak German, but otherwise, I don't think it was too much of a barrier. But of course, if you know the language, if you know German, then a lot of things become much easier.
And that, ladies and gents, brings us to the end of part 1 of our series. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun listening to all these wonderful people talking about their experiences and sharing their unique stories with all of you. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And feel free to comment. It's free of charge. Okay, catch you guys next week for part 2. Please don't miss out. And until then, take care of yourself. Bye.